Hello and welcome to a special live streaming event by the Allan I Carswell Observatory, located at York University in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I am Dr. Elena Hyde, the Observatory Director, and we're very pleased to bring you a special event today. This is April 8th, 2026. We have Artemis II, which is returning from the moon to Earth, and it has been imaged by the Allan I Carswell Observatory 1 meter telescope today. That's April 8th, much earlier. So before sunrise, in fact, when the sun was not quite such a problem. If anyone has any questions about the observatory, would like to visit the 1 meter telescope for one of our free weekly observing sessions, you can find all of that information and more at our website, yorku.ca/science/observatory. So let's go ahead and get started with Artemis. I am joined with this special event with one of our chief observers, Sunna Withers. Sunna, you took these observing sessions earlier this morning. Let me just go ahead and go directly to the image here. And this is what you saw. You were using the 1 meter telescope at the Allan I Carswell Observatory. Do you want to describe your observation settings?
Sure. This image itself is about a series of 10 to 15 second long exposure times. It was an interesting night being able to actually observe Artemis II. I had to try a couple of different things to find the spacecraft. It was a little bit challenging because it is quite a bit fainter than some of the background stars. So you have to play some games to try to actually spot the star that is moving, that in this case is not actually a star. But I got these images with the MallinCam instrument, which is the RGB camera that we can actually use to take color images of the night sky. So you can actually see a little bit of variation in the color of the stars in this image and also of the Orion spacecraft. But yes, the frames are around 10 seconds long, taken using the RGB camera.
Wonderful. And of course, the RGB camera is really nice because it does provide us some color images right away.
Yes.
And I've just put some annotations on the image here, highlighting the path of the Orion capsule from Artemis II, just so you can see the image starts moving right up about here, and then it goes down along this path where I've kind of put the blue arrows here. So just in case you're having trouble seeing it, it is very, very faint. So let's go ahead and clear that. It is very hard to see, but if you look where the arrows are pointing, you can just about catch it going by here. About what magnitude, if you had to guess, would you say that Artemis II Orion capsule was at? That's got to be pretty faint.
Yeah, maybe something like eighth magnitude approximately.
Yeah, that sounds very reasonable. And this is not the whole image we're showing at the moment. I'd just like to point out. So the image is looping. We weren't able to observe it for terribly long. I forgot. Did you say how long you were able to observe for?
I ended up observing it for around an hour, maybe an hour and a half. The reason why we couldn't observe it for too long was just because it was very, very low on the sky. It never reached a very high altitude. Generally, when things are higher in the sky, they're kind of easier to observe just because the light that's coming from space doesn't have to pass through a lot of atmosphere when it's high up in the sky. But the lower and further down you go, closer to the horizon, the more and more of the Earth's atmosphere that this light has to pass through in order to reach us. So this is also one of the reasons why the image looks a little bit sort of like it's jumping around a little bit. You can see the stars moving slightly from frame to frame. It's just because we were looking through a lot of atmosphere. We were getting a little bit of turbulence, so things might look a little bit fuzzy. But it was
Yes.
still bright enough to be able to see it.
And I mean, this amount of movement in an hour is Pretty impressive, all things
Yeah.
considering.
I
Um,
believe this sequence of images was taken over probably something closer to 30 minutes, actually, because I ended up moving the position of the telescope a couple of times to keep up with it. So I don't think this is 100% of the data that I got on this. So we could make a longer time lapse as well.
And we definitely should. So, of course, with the 1 meter telescope at the observatory, we are limited to things that are above about 20 degrees altitude-ish. And if it gets lower on the horizon than that, we really can't point the telescope at them.
Uh,
They're
this
they're
was
too low.
this was at 16 degrees.
Yeah,
And
so this was
it
really at the limit.
Yeah, like I was looking at it on the dome security cameras to kind of eavesdrop on the telescope, and it looked like the telescope was pointing right into the wall.
All
So
right, so
part of the telescope opening was probably blocked by the dome itself for this.
which would explain again some of the image quality not being quite optimal because when your telescope is partway blocked by a wall, you
Yeah.
do get a little bit of vignetting and some funny business. All
Yes.
right, so let's go ahead and mark the full range of the images just so that anybody watching can catch the full exposure. So as you can see now here, it's coming down to the end, and I'll just go ahead and note when it's starting here, and we'll do, there it goes. Okay, so this is the full set that we've been looping, and I'll put in the annotation marks. You can see exactly how far it gets. And anybody who wants to go check, there it is. So this is pretty much the full range that we were able to capture in about, as you say, 30 minutes.
I'd say about 30 minutes because it was moving very, very quickly, just in general.
Yes, exactly. And as a little fun side note, a lot of people have been asking, of course, how do we find Artemis II if we want to try again? Because we will get a few more chances, just barely, before they come back and land on Earth. What did you use to find Artemis II?
I used something called JPL Horizons. So this is an app that was created by people at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory run by NASA. And it basically just gives you information on the positions of a ton of different stuff in our solar system. So if you want to know precise information about where planets or asteroids or comets are and spacecraft even in the solar system, all you have to do is go to Horizons JPL, tell them where your location is, tell them what you want to observe and when you want to observe it, and it will give you the right ascension and declination of that object at any time that you ask it for. So I just went onto that website and kind of played games with, well, okay, I moved the telescope to this position at this time, and it looks like it's moved by a decent amount within 30 to 40 minutes. And then I just repositioned the telescope every 30 to 40 minutes to kind of follow the spacecraft through the sky.
Wonderful. And of course, I'll just go ahead and show one more that I found earlier. So I did find another way that you can do it, and we'll pull up yours as well. Excuse the slight misalignment here. Okay. So you can also use the Sky Live. And I thought I would show this one because this is a very amateur-friendly tool. The Skylive is theskylive.com, and it's free. It's a website. You can enter in your Artemis 2, and it will show you where Artemis 2 is, where it was, where it's going. So this is showing the sky as of around about of 4 o'clock this morning, which would have been around when you were doing your imaging,
Hmm.
showing Artemis II in the constellation of Scorpius. And if you change the time in here, which, oh, no, I have annotate on, that's not going to work. Let me just move that and see if I can access here. It will let you change the time. So if we change the time by, say, an hour or two, you can see things moving around the sky. And you can see that on this large scale, this is a much larger field of view than we have on the 1 meter, I have to say. We are very zoomed in. So our image is inside this, around this yellow circle. Um, the whole sky, we see the constellation of Scorpius, and you can also see the moon. So you can see how far they've traveled from the moon with this, of course, complete optical effect that is not giving us any true idea of distance. But I can go back to Artemis II here where they have the full tracker and it will give you a proper finder chart. So now this is the current date and time, which is April 8th, around 10 p.m. And it has moved a little bit away. The moon has also shifted. And it gives you a bunch of different fun facts like its coordinates, a little bit of a zoomed in finder chart, right ascension, declination. It doesn't give you the magnitude, so that you have to estimate yourself from, of course, the stars in the region. It is substantially fainter than anything you'll see in the bright stars of Scorpius.
Yeah. And one of the other reasons why it looks so faint on the images is actually because of the moon itself. When the moon is sitting in the sky and it's just so bright, it actually makes it harder to see faint stars or faint satellites and spacecraft that are nearby the moon. So if the moon was in the new moon phase or it was in a different part of the sky than the Artemis II spacecraft, it would probably look brighter and be easier to find.
Yeah, and one other thing we can look forward to as well is as Orion comes closer to Earth, we will, and if the angle is good on those solar panels, we might get it to be quite a bit brighter. As long as we're doing this, we might as well put up JPL Horizons. Is it
It's the first one.
Horizon System NASA?
Yes. And
So this is ssd.jpl.nasa.gov. And
you just go to the app tab.
just to scroll up so people can see the website here. We want to give them props as well. This is the application. So this is where you put in your object,
Yep. And there's even a location saved for the Allan I Carswell Observatory in the location option.
which is very handy, I have to say. So
Yes.
if you're planning on asking us to observe anything on one of the Wednesday night tours, um, you actually can put in our observatory and then see if your object is visible. All right, wonderful. So we have a couple tools for people who are interested in watching. And of course, the Artemis mission is on its way back. Let me put this back across so that we can watch our wonderful spacecraft, of course, carrying um, uh, our own Canadian back to us as well. Um, who I forgot to mention, we did have a special press conference today with the Orion capsule and Jeremy Hansen. Um, I didn't see all of it, but they had a live stream. It was pretty cool. So, all right, so we have Artemis II, Orion capsule coming back. Right now, I'm just checking their calculator, but of course, this being a live stream, we are always going to be a little bit behind depending on when people watch this. We're waiting for them to do the second return trajectory correction burn so that they can finish coming back to Earth. Once they've finished their trajectory correction burn, they'll actually be looking at setting up for entry and then, of course, splashdown back here on Earth. So it's pretty exciting times, I would say.
Absolutely. There's been a ton of cool coverage of the Artemis events. NASA, I think they still have it going. They've been doing this like 24/7 live stream of the Artemis crew. So not only are they showing live views of inside the capsule at certain times and showing interviews, they also have a camera on the outside of the spacecraft that has been taking really, really cool pictures of the moon and the Earth and, Earth set and Earth rise. So they have this live stream going, and you can kind of just see what the Orion spacecraft is seeing at any given time.
Yes, and there are some really cool tools and dashboards if people want to follow along. And of course, with I did think that I do want to give a special shout out because of course our observatory, the Allan I Carswell Observatory, is at York University, which has an astronaut connection already. So it's quite fun that we can use our telescope to see another Canadian astronaut, Jeremy Hansen, at very, very low resolution. He's inside that pixel there that's moving. Um, so if anyone wants to give a wave and send some well wishes, hopefully we'll see them all safe back on the ground after splashdown.
Only a few more days away.
Exactly. All right. So exciting times. Thank you for joining me, Sana. And I think I'll just, at the end of this episode, I'm going to just leave this playing so that we can get one more round of the Orion capsule moving through space. And fingers and toes crossed for the weather and positions in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, so that we can try this again sometime soon.
Yes.
All right, everyone, thank you for joining us. This has been Dr. Elena Hyde and Sunna Withers from the Allan I Carswell Observatory at York University, live streaming our snapshot of the moving Orion capsule from Artemis II. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Clear skies and have a good night.
Have a good night.